The moment we pulled up to our lake cabin, the tranquility we'd been craving shattered like glass. My wife, Laura Bennett, had just returned from a 6-month overseas assignment she wouldn't discuss, and I thought this retreat would be our chance to reconnect. The cabin sat nestled by the water, its wooden deck promising peace. But peace was the last thing we got. As Laura opened the first box with her meticulous precision, a voice sliced through the air. "Stop unpacking right now. I'm calling the police." It was Margaret, the HOA president, storming across our lawn with a clipboard clutched like a battle axe. Her silver hair was pulled into a tight bun, her black suit screaming authority. She was 62, but her energy was relentless, her heels clicking with the rhythm of someone used to being obeyed. Laura, unfazed, turned to face her, and I knew this was about to get ugly. Margaret didn't waste a second. "This is my community," she declared, her voice dripping with disdain. "You can't leave items on the porch." HOA rules state no belongings outside for more than 30 minutes. Laura's response was calm but heavy. "I'm unpacking in my own home." Margaret's face flushed red, as if Laura had slapped her. "Your home?" "In my neighborhood, which I've run flawlessly for 8 years. Where were you for 6 months, abandoning your husband? What kind of wife does that?" The personal attack stung, and my blood boiled. Before I could snap, Laura stepped closer, her posture shifting almost military. "I was working," she said, her tone flat, revealing nothing. Margaret scoffed. "Work? What, some office job? Don't act like you're important." Laura's silence was more intimidating than any comeback, her eyes studying Margaret like a chessboard. The tension crackled. Margaret, undeterred, scribbled a $500 citation and thrust it at Laura. "This is just the start. I won't let transients like you ruin what I've built." Laura folded the paper with eerie calm. "You've misjudged the wrong person," she said, her voice low, promising consequences. Margaret stormed off, but not before glancing back, plotting her next move. I was still reeling. "What the hell just happened?" I asked. Laura, already moving boxes, said matter-of-factly, "She's going to escalate. People like her always do when their control is challenged." I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and saw someone different from the woman who'd left 6 months ago. Her movements, the way she arranged items with tactical precision, suggested skills I couldn't fathom. What had she been doing overseas? The Laura I knew might have been rattled by Margaret's venom, but this Laura seemed almost curious about what came next. The next morning, Margaret's voice rang out again. She stood at our property line, phone in hand, filming Laura as she fixed a stuck shed window with tools that looked military-grade. "Look at this," Margaret crowed to her camera. "She's damaging property with suspicious techniques. I'm calling the cops." Her 911 call was Oscar-worthy, her voice trembling with fake fear. "There's a woman breaking into my neighbor's shed. She's using professional tools, showing criminal training. Send multiple units dangerous." I started to intervene, but Laura caught my eye through the kitchen window and shook her head. "Let me handle this," she said when I joined her outside, her voice steady. "I'm used to situations like this." "Used to them? Where? How?" Officer Daniel Carter arrived in 10 minutes, his patrol car pulling up with quiet efficiency. He was mid-40s, with the calm of someone who'd seen real emergencies. Laura's posture shifted alert, not defensive, like she was prepping for a mission. Carter inspected the shed, Laura's tools, and our property deed, which I handed over. "These tools are military-grade," he noted, running a finger along their edges. "Civilians don't usually have these." He asked Laura where she'd learned her repair skills. "Somewhere I picked up practical training," she replied, vague but confident. Carter seemed intrigued, not suspicious. Margaret, hovering nearby, fumed. "Why aren't you arresting her? She's lying about her background. She's dangerous." Carter turned to her, patient but firm. "Ma'am, you've misused 911. That's a serious violation." Margaret's face burned, but she didn't back down. After Carter left, she pointed at Laura. "I'll find out who you really are. You don't belong here." Laura met her glare. "Next time, just ask me directly instead of wasting everyone's time." Margaret's bravado faltered, but she stomped off, vowing, "This isn't over." Margaret didn't just escalate, she declared war. Over the next few days, she became a one-woman surveillance state. She emailed every neighbor with subject lines like "warning," "dangerous behavior," and "protect our community." The emails listed Laura's suspicious actions: morning workouts, mailbox checks complete with blurry photos taken from Margaret's window. Flyers appeared on utility poles, urging residents to report Laura's abnormal patterns. Most shocking, Margaret called my workplace during a client meeting, claiming Laura's psychological instability threatened my job. "She's a risk to your company's reputation," she told my assistant. The calculated cruelty stunned me. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. "I'm protecting this community," she said, "including you, from your wife's deception." That night, I found a stack of Margaret's complaint letters, detailing Laura's every move like a private investigator's dossier. "Why does she hate you so much?" I asked Laura, who was scanning the letters with her usual calm. "She doesn't hate me," Laura said thoughtfully. "She hates what I represent. She's lost someone to the military. It's personal." How did Laura know that? The next morning, Carter showed up unprompted. "I need to talk about Margaret," he said, his tone grave. We invited him in, and he dropped a bombshell. Margaret's son, James Carter, died in Iraq 3 years ago during his second deployment. She'd written over 40 letters to officials, begging them not to send him back, citing his combat stress. No one listened. James was killed in a roadside bombing 6 weeks in. Since then, Margaret had driven out 2 military families with harassment campaigns, spreading rumors about security risks and PTSD. Her grief had twisted into vengeance against anyone tied to the military. I felt a mix of sympathy and fear. Her pain was real, but her actions were unforgivable. Carter's gaze lingered on Laura. "I keep thinking I've seen someone like you before," he said. "The way you handle conflict, your composure, it's familiar." Laura nodded politely, saying nothing. Carter mentioned an emergency HOA meeting that night, where Margaret planned to demand our removal. Laura's eyes sharpened. "That's fine," she said. "It's time to end this." The community center was packed with 20 neighbors, the air thick with tension. Margaret had turned the room into a courtroom, complete with a projector, evidence packets, and a presentation that looked weeks in the making. Charts showed alleged crime spikes since our arrival. Graphs predicted property value drops due to military families. She cited HOA rules, county laws, even federal housing excerpts. It wasn't a complaint, it was a legal assault. "Tonight, we face a threat to our safety and values," Margaret declared, clicking through slides of Laura's deceptive behavior. She showed photos of Laura working, emails of her evasive replies, and a chart claiming 73% of violent crimes involved military families. Neighbors murmured, some nodding, others uneasy. Margaret's voice rose. "Laura Bennett refuses to explain her work or background. She moves like someone trained to harm. I demand a vote to remove this family before they destroy us." The room split. Some neighbors looked scared, others skeptical. Then Laura stood, her presence silencing the crowd. "You want to know what I do?" she asked, her voice steady, locking eyes with neighbors. "I serve in the military. I bring soldiers home safely from dangerous places." The simplicity stunned everyone, especially Margaret, who'd expected lies. "That's nonsense," Margaret shrieked. "You're just a military wife pretending to be important. You have no proof." Her composure cracked, her accusations sounding desperate. Neighbors shifted uncomfortably. Then Carter walked in, his timing almost too perfect. "I'm here to set the record straight," he said, his authority undeniable. Margaret smirked, expecting backup. "Arrest her for fraud," she demanded. But Carter's focus was elsewhere. "I verified Laura Bennett's military record," he announced. "She's a Special Forces commander with deployments in Iraq, Afghanistan, and classified regions." The room went silent. Margaret's face paled. "She served where James Carter was stationed," Carter continued. "She knew your son." Margaret trembled, her clipboard crashing to the floor. "Her soldiers call her commander." The word hit like a grenade, freezing Margaret in place, her eyes blank with shock. Laura stepped forward, her voice soft but piercing. "I remember James. He talked about you constantly, Margaret. He said you made the best apple pie, that you worried about him every day." Margaret's rigid stance broke, tears streaming as she sank into a chair. "He was proud of you," Laura said. "He served to make you proud." Margaret sobbed. "I've become a monster. I attacked someone who knew my son." Neighbors, once ready to exile us, now reached out to her. Mrs. Larson brought water, whispering comfort. The young couple with a toddler looked shaken, rethinking their fears. Even Mr. Thompson, who'd been skeptical, offered kind words. The room transformed from a battleground to a place of healing. Margaret's voice broke the silence. What have I done? She looked at Laura, raw and vulnerable. You knew my James. Laura shared stories of James's bravery, how he saved 3 soldiers in his final act. He was a hero, she said. Margaret whispered, thank you for being with him. Thank you for not hating me. The community rallied, voting to rename the park James Carter Memorial Park and starting a fund for military families. Margaret resigned as HOA president, asking Laura to be security advisor. I want to honor James, she said. Laura accepted, and they began planning support programs. 2 months later, the neighborhood was unrecognizable. Margaret led efforts to send care packages to soldiers, her grief now fueling purpose. She and Laura forged a friendship, bonded by James's memory. The park became a sanctuary, with Margaret tending flowers and Laura sharing stories of fallen soldiers. One evening, on our porch, I raised my wine glass. To the commander, I said. Laura smiled, clinking her glass. To James Carter, and all who deserve peace, knowing their sacrifice mattered. The lake reflected the sunset, and for the first time, the neighborhood felt whole. We'd come for quiet, but found something greater, a community reborn through truth and compassion. Margaret's pain had nearly destroyed us, but Laura's choice to forgive had saved us all. Some might say Margaret didn't deserve that grace. What do you think?